Kia ora Universe and Kia ora New Zealand. Victoria Velasquez Vincent here, your Miss Universe New Zealand 2024, and I am back with another episode interviewing and interrogating the girls of Miss Universe New Zealand 2025. I am joined here today by the lovely Lucretia. How are you?
Hi, Victoria. I am so well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I want us to assume that the people watching don't know enough about you because I feel like nobody could ever know enough about you, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to give us like an executive summary of who you are, what would that be?
In my honest opinion, I'd say like a ball of light. But if you were to describe me right now, I'm a 24-year-old living in Auckland. I am a preschool teacher. So I studied a Bachelor of Teaching, specializing in early childhood education. And after I finished my degree, I just stayed here. I'm originally from the top of the South Island, so a little small town called Blenheim. And yeah, I kind of just came up here for a higher education, and I met so many amazing people, and I've just kind of stumbled into the pageantry world. So I've gone from a bit of teaching to now this, and I think it's opened up a huge world for me. And yeah, I'm just addicted to it, I guess you could say.
I love that. And I love that you said that you stumbled into it because there's really no better way to describe how anyone enters pageantry. Like none of us start off knowing what we're doing. We just figure it out along the way.
Yeah. I think it's like mine was just like seeing another girl doing pageantry, and I was like, if she can do it, like I'm sure like I can. And like yes. I feel like, you know, modeling's got its like positives, but I feel like pageantry, like you've got your whole personality alongside of that kind of modeling. So I think that it's really cool being able to kind of really shine, like become who you are, I guess you could say. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like with connecting with people in the pageant, whether it's like, you know, all of the girls that you're competing with or like supporters and fans you come into contact with or communities that you help out. I feel like, yeah, there's like another layer to it, like you said. Like there's modeling and then there's like another layer to pageantry. Yeah. It involves more human connection, which I adore.
Yeah, and you can like kind of learn from other people as well. Like you're different, but like there's so many different like characteristics that you're like, oh, like I kind of admire that about that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. I want to start this off really fun and random. Okay. So I have been stalking your Instagram today and I have a screenshot of a photo that I have chosen.
Okay.
I won't tell you yet why I've chosen it, but I would like you to give me like a story behind this photo or just like a fun fact or anything that you want to tell me about this photo. So it's funny.
Yeah. Okay. So the story behind it, it's actually so funny, but kind of like bittersweet, I guess you could say. So my very best friend that I actually met in halls at university, she decided last year to move over to Brisbane. So my best friend, she decided to leave, and I thought, okay, well, what better way to make her like this memorable last week than to make her jump off the bridge. So I got like all my money together and I was like giggling to myself and I brought her a bungee jump off the Harbour Bridge, and I didn't tell her. So it ended up starting to rain that day, and I was like, oh no, like at 3 o'clock we're like doing this bungee jump and she has no idea. And I told her, oh, we're gonna go for a walk, and like I always love going for walks. So she was like, yep, little side quest. And I park up next to the bridge and I get my phone out and I go to her, what would you do if you like found out that you were about to like jump off that bridge over there? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I brought you a ticket to jump off the bungee. And we went in there and she was just like so scared. And then she turns to me and looks and she goes, if I do it, I'll pay for you to do it as well. So anyway, I got roped into doing it as well, and we ended up jumping. And honestly, I don't know if you've done it before, but like you think, oh, it's going to be easy. And then watching her kind of like stop and then just kind of like stand there for a little bit and then do it. I was like, I'll do it. And then I look over the side and I was like, this is the most scariest part of my whole entire life. I did it anyway, but the video was just so embarrassing. Like you're supposed to kind of like jump out, but my legs just kind of gave way and I kind of like fell down. But that's the story behind it. It was a bittersweet moment. Me and my best friend kind of just spending our last moments together before she decided to go and fly over to Brisbane to become an occupational therapist.
Oh, what a lovely way to send her off.
I know. I was like,
Also,
I'll be that
set
member.
yourself up.
I stitched myself up most definitely because she asked me, she's like, are you gonna do it? And I was like, no, I'm spectating. I'm watching you do it. And she was like, no, you're doing it with me. But that's such a best friend thing, right? Like you gotta do it with them.
Yeah, I've always thought about, so I've never done bungee jumping, but I've done things like cliff jumping and canyoneering and stuff, which is equally as terrifying. But you know that moment when you like step out there and you look down, especially if you're over a body of water and stuff, right? And like the world just seems to like slow down.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And I think to myself, okay, I've done a bungee jump. I can do anything. Because when you've actually put yourself in that position to actually jump, that's when you're like, you can put that into a metaphor for like anything. But you have to do it when you come back to New Zealand, come to Auckland,
Oh my God.
do the bungee jump before you watch the grand final. Like, hey, I'm Victoria and I'm going to jump
Or
off.
maybe after, just in case I injure myself and I can't go to the grand final.
True. But honestly, I think it's an amazing experience. And I think that if anyone was just like doubting themselves, go do it and you'll prove yourself wrong straight away. And then you can do whatever after.
The guys work at those sorts of things, you know, like the guys that like strap you in and do all the aerobic stuff. They must have like the most entertaining job, just watching people freak out.
That was us. That was literally us. Like, they in my video. So you're supposed to like bounce 3 times and then let the thing go. So that's why I'm sitting kind of like on a seat. But it was the first bounce and I was pulling that strap as fast as I could. And it was just like the most awkwardest video. I'll have to do it again just to make myself look a little bit better. But yeah, it's just funny. It was so funny.
I definitely chose the right photo. That was a good choice.
It's a wholesome story behind it.
I love that. Will your best friend come from Brisbane to watch the finals?
I actually don't know. I'm not too sure, but she's just been over in April actually for a week or so with her family. It was her Popper's, I think, 80th birthday, which is like so beautiful. And I took her to one of the Warriors games as well. So we had a bit of fun. But yeah, she's back over there. So maybe I have to go over to Brisbane and see her sometime soon after that.
Hopefully a celebration trip.
I know, she'll be watching it on live hopefully, or even surprisingly, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So the reason why I actually chose that photo was because I loved the caption. And from memory, I think the caption of my first ever Instagram photo was like something very similar.
Really?
So your caption is, do something today that's terrifying in all the best ways. So I would like to know, what is the most terrifying thing that you have faced or are anticipating that you'll face in your Miss Universe New Zealand journey?
Oh, wow. I think that the most terrifying thing, in my honest opinion, would actually probably just being on that stage. I think that I've watched quite a few shows in Sky City, so in the theatre, but being on stage, that's terrifying, but in the best ways possible. Because if you think about it, it's like I'm going to be on that stage and thinking, this is me, like I'm here for a reason, and all the things that I've done in that moment to the lead up, like it makes it kind of all that much more, like, I guess, memorable and like more of a milestone. I think, being physically on that stage, I'll be trembling, but like, gotta have a smile, just, fluke it. As long as I'm having fun, that's all that really matters. But yeah, I'll be terrified deep down. I think we all will be.
I'm hoping. So I can't remember actually from so last year the audience wasn't that dim. So like you could actually see people's faces. It was a different venue. You could see people's faces. And so like when you're walking out there performing, you're like, what are they thinking? Why are they pulling that face? Like, I was like looking at my mum and dad. I was like, are they smiling? Am I doing well?
Yeah.
So hopefully in Sky City, it's a lot more dim. So it's just darkness that you're looking into.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely see the darkness, but I already know my mum, because like my mum is just like my biggest supporter. She will be the loudest in the room, so it won't matter how dark it is. All I'm gonna hear is like my mum saying my name.
I love that.
That's fine. I'll just keep on walking. Smile and wave.
That is so precious.
Sorry, my phone's going flat.
Oh, that's okay.
Pop that on there.
My phone is like perpetually on less than 20%.
No, because that's like what I was charging it the whole day, and then it's all right. We're back on though. We're back on.
That's good. So another question I'd like to know. You've mentioned before that you moved from Blenheim.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever been there, but I would like to go. And then you also mentioned that you work in early childhood education. So obviously, I feel like moving from a small town to a place like Auckland, where it's like, the most populated city in New Zealand, it's like everything's always on the go in Auckland in comparison to a lot of places in the country. And then, so like with that move, that might have been like quite a big adjustment in terms of like your lifestyle and just like almost like, even though we're like one culture, it's still almost like a culture change in some way because you're going from small town to big city. So with that move, and then also with your career in early childhood education. Sorry, I just saw this piece of fluff.
You're okay. I saw it as well.
You can spill my cardigan. Sorry.
You're okay. And then it's like a little bit of what's happening?
I feel like I just had to acknowledge it because I just went.
No, you're okay. I saw that as well. I was like, it's okay. We're only human. We're only human.
I know. Honestly, nothing ever goes to plan, and that's the beauty of life. What was I asking you? Okay,
you were asking me just about like my move and like the career change.
So what are the biggest things that you learned from your move to Auckland and then your career in early childhood education? The biggest things that you've learned that you're then like applying to pageantry, because obviously it's like a completely different shift, right?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I feel like when I kind of decided to do Miss Universe, I thought about my career a lot, and I thought about how a lot of the stuff that I do in like school, it actually can be kind of like traced into pageantry as well. So like, for example, as a teacher, you're sitting there and you're nurturing like young minds of children that don't really believe in themselves, or they need that kind of push to reach their potential. So I feel like I can kind of transmute that and almost, get other aspiring women and anyone that's kind of interested in hearing what I have to say, and just helping them reach their potential, whether it is in pageantry themselves or even like little things. Sometimes you don't realize that there's people that are supporting you. And I think that sometimes being that person that actually sits there and really listens, like true and wholeheartedly, it all makes that difference when you're kind of wanting that push. And I guess like it's like, jumping and doing that bungee jump is sometimes, I may be that person that advocates for someone else to believe in themselves. And if that's just one person, then I've done my job. And that's all that really matters. If it's one, if it's 10, but, being able to say or even get feedback. I've had like feedback from a few girls actually from my school, like high school, and they're like, I'm so proud of what you're doing. And I'm like, really? Like, this is just me. This is just my like journey and like what I feel is my purpose at the moment. And they're like, you doing those things have like inspired me in my personal life to do things. And I'm thinking, if this is what I'm doing for women in my like hometown, what can I do for like strangers? And I think that's like a really beautiful thing alongside the little tamariki, it's kind of using the gift that I have, but in a very, I guess you could say like community-based kind of engagement.
No, I love that because I feel like Miss Universe, like obviously she's a leader and a role model.
Yeah.
And in your line of work, because kids spend, most of their time at school, aside from their own mothers or, their own mother figures or their parents and everything, like their teachers are like one of the most influential people in their life because they spend so much time with their teachers. And so like the skills that you manage to develop through educating younger children, absolutely, that's transferable for sure to pageantry. It seems so like far apart.
No, it definitely feels like it. But I remember because we obviously do a thing called a practicum while we're studying, and I remember one of the teachers said something that stuck with me, and it was, you're not just taking that child on, you're taking their whole family on, and you're not just a teacher, you're a mother, you're a counselor, you're a therapist, you're this, you're that, you're a little doctor. They get like, they hurt themselves and you got to care for them. Like, you've got so many hats when it comes to being a teacher. And I think like now I love this teaching, but then this pageantry is kind of coming up, and I'm just thinking, okay, well, how can I use these gifts to even do other career paths? Because I think, I've done my time as a teacher, but it's like, is there something else that's kind of creeping up that's kind of calling my name without even realizing? I just think that's like a real beautiful thing. I don't know if that's happened with you yet, where you're like obviously enjoying what you're doing, but sometimes there's like a little, like, I don't know if you've read the book The Alchemist, and he like goes on a little journey, but it makes me think like, yeah, okay, I'm a teacher, and then I'm like, oh, but maybe like I could be a teacher but also so many other things at the same time. Absolutely. So I'm in that kind of part of my life right now.
I love that, like navigating all the different pathways that you can take. I feel like society almost taught us that we should just like choose one thing and stick to it for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Really, no. I am passionate about so many other things. So do everything all at once. Thank you very much.
I know. And that's so me as well. I'm like a bit of an indecisive person, but kind of in the best way possible, because it's like I'm not confined to one thing. And I think that's the cool thing about my personality, is I'm like so open-minded. I'll sit there and listen to any conversation that anyone's having just because of like a different perspective. And then after that, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really agree with that, but like, good on you for doing that. Like I really enjoy listening and learning, because then there's other ways and other jobs that I'm thinking, oh, like, I didn't know that was a thing, but I could kind of do that if I wanted to, put myself towards those things.
Yeah, the possibilities are absolutely endless.
I know.
I was actually going to ask you a different question, but you have inspired me to ask you something else.
Yeah, that's okay. Honestly, go ask me whatever you feel.
So I don't know when exactly this interview is going to be released, but as we know, Mother's Day is coming up on Saturday this weekend, and we were talking about like women as leaders and teachers as leaders, and Miss Universe as like a role model and everything. Obviously, your mom is like your biggest fan.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she was like one of, if not the first role model that you ever had.
Yeah.
So what is the most important lesson that she taught you that you take with you everywhere?
Oh, the mum has this one quote, and it's "Love never fails." And it's something that I've never really understood until recently, as you go through like heartbreak and stuff. And love never fails because you are love. And I think that's the most important thing that I've been able to take from that quote, is that, if you really love something, it doesn't matter if it's unconditional, because as long as you love it, it's not going to matter. And I think, that's a reflection of life. Like, do things that you love, and it's not going to matter, if you don't get anything back from it. But that's one thing my mum always says. She's like, love never fails.
I can't wait to meet her, and I can't wait to hear her cheering louder than everybody else combined.
Trust me, like, they're going to think, is there like a microphone up there? But no, it's just her voice. It's just her voice.
That's hilarious. I love that so much. My mum honestly is exactly the same. She, I see it a lot at the moment. It's like a trending thing on social media where people are saying, my mum cheered so loud for me so I couldn't hear that no one else was. And I'm just like, my mum definitely did that.
No, and it's actually, I think it's a really reassuring thing. And I think, in my honest opinion, everyone needs someone in their life that's like that. And like, we are so grateful that we had it being our mums. And other people, it's like their best friends or their dads, but like mum, it's mum for me.
To our mums and all the mums watching, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Most definitely.
And we're so grateful that you brought us into this world.
Yes, so. I know. How amazing is that?
So I would like to know, speaking of the night that your mum will be cheering super loud for you.
Yes.
Obviously, there will be a panel of judges. And I'm curious to know, whether it be like throughout your whole campaign from start to finish, or specifically at prelims and finals, what is it that you want that panel of judges to really feel and see through your performance and who you are?
Honestly, the first thing that pops into my head is authenticity. And everyone has a different version of what they consider being authentic. But I believe like progress over perfection. And I think that I went into this competition thinking that I knew myself, but I actually believe that throughout the competition, I've kind of started thinking of, what really am I and what really is my purpose. So, going into doing all this like charity work, and, this Sunday I'll be at the Sunday market actually selling bath soaks for breast cancer. I think that the authenticity of me really connecting with people, like genuinely, there's no cameras anywhere. Like, this is actually what I want to be doing outside of all of this. I think that's the most important thing, because when you really are for the people, it shines. And honestly, when we went to the hot springs, I ended up going in the kitchen, hanging out with the chefs and taking out all the food. And, I thought about it, and I was like, obviously people have like their different perspectives on it. And I thought to myself, is this for the cameras or is this actually me? And I was like, no, this is me. This is who I am. Like, I'm more than happy to make a fool out of myself to show that, like, I can be that person that's down to earth, and I can be in there with my sleeves up and my chef's hat, preparing the food and doing this and that. So I think, yeah, most definitely the most important thing is like for them to just love me for who I really am deep down. And if it isn't something that they like, then like that's nothing that I can go against, like I'm just being me, and that's the best that I can do.
Absolutely. You sound like an absolutely wonderful human being. And like you said, I think at the very start, you said that you are like a ball of light. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I now feel that through what you said, and I resonate with it a lot. I feel like people put, like, for lack of a better term, I don't really like the term beauty queen, but like they put them on a pedestal and stuff, which I'm not sure we should be on necessarily.
Yeah.
I remember,
but they are beautiful. They are beautiful. Like, I can't deny, like, chef's kiss with like their angles and everything. Like, they do look like beauty queens.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, we're also still human, right? And like humans were made to connect with other humans, and so I love that you were helping the chefs in the kitchen.
Honestly, I was like watching the videos and I was like, oh. And then I was like, it's that moment where you're like, but that's who I am. Like, that is me at my core. Because I did enjoy the photo shoots, but honestly, it was quite fun connecting with everyone.
Absolutely. I love that. So this is like a very intense question that I have next for you. And it's the last question that I personally have for you.
Okay.
But obviously I am the reigning Miss Universe New Zealand. And I will be giving my crown to someone on June 24 at Sky City. Why should that person be you?
I believe it should be me, because I feel like it's such a hard question when you ask, because I feel like it's like you really have to say yourself with it.
Yeah.
I just believe that coming from such a small town and kind of, not having that support to now being where I am, I can advocate for, girls that don't believe in themselves. And I guess if I was to receive that crown, I would be able to show everyone back home, you are capable of more things than you think. And I also believe that if I did receive the crown, then I would advocate in schools, and I would get up there and tell them that they can do it. They can get those good grades. They can be a beauty queen if they want. They can be anything they want, because I believe in them. And I think that if I believe in them, then that's all that matters.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to see whether or not it will be you. That is so, like I said, that was my last question.
Yes.
But I'm doing this thing where I'm asking every girl to leave a question with me that I then ask the next girl.
Okay.
And so I'll get you to leave me with a question. Admittedly, I did forget to ask someone to leave me with a question.
Oh, no. Okay.
So let's pretend that that's not going to happen again. So the question that I have for you, which came from Zell.
Okay.
And you can talk about whether it's life or like pageantry specifically. If you could describe your journey through colors and texture, what would it look like, and why would it look like that?
If I could describe it, I would say that it's like little pink rose petals, like little ones. And I only say that because I started up this little brand maybe like a month ago as a kind of businessy, kind of getting my foot in the door of everything, I guess you could say, to like in regards to business. And I decided to call it the Ever Unfolding Rose. because I believe that my life is like a little rosebud and it's slowly unfolding. So I feel like the texture would be like the petals and it'll be a beautiful pink rose. And I think that it's just something that's slowly unfolding as I go. So it started off as a little rosebud and it's just slowly forming into however big it wants to. But that's probably the best way to describe it, even though it was a bit mumbly jumbly.
And I love that you call it the ever unfolding rose, because it's like you're never fully finished, right? You're never fully like, you're always learning and growing and
different petals as well. And that's why I was like, yeah, the ever unfolding rose. And now I love that question. I feel like it was meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So before I forget, could you please leave me with a question to ask the next girl? I'm not personally sure of who it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but
yeah, I don't remember, unfortunately.
That's good, because then at least your question isn't like skewed them specifically.
Yeah. Okay, my question, I feel like because we're on the topic of like being afraid and uncertainty, I would say next contestant, if you could do something that you were so afraid of doing right now, you know, there's no barriers, there's no money, you know, you can do it right now, what would it be? It could be anything at all. And that's my question.
I love that. I'm reflecting on myself now.
What would yours be? If you could do anything, you know, the world's your limit. You've got unlimited money.
What would
Get
I
a second dog?
Actually, it's always been a dream of mine to have like a dog ranch and like adopt a bunch of like stray dogs and stuff. So probably I think that's what I would do.
That actually is really cute. Would it be like in New Zealand or would it be like Australia or even Philippines?
It would be multiple. It'd be like trains.
Yeah, that's one everywhere. It'd be like a little doggy daycare.
Yeah. It actually is so relevant as well, because today I had to go and like visit what do you call it? Like a dog boarding place to leave my Doberman when I go back to New Zealand.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm so anxious about leaving her behind. So I was like judging everything.
Fair enough. You have to.
Yeah. So it's very, very on topic for my day for sure.
Love that. Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you a little bit, and I cannot wait to see you in the flesh. I hope things are going really well, and I can't wait to see all of it come to fruition on stage.
Lovely. Perfect. Thank you so much, Victoria. You have a lovely night.
Likewise. I'll see you soon.
See you. Bye.